Hi there, welcome to Hey Sound Guy, the podcast where I'll be peeking behind the curtains of the wonderful world of music. Each week I'll be speaking to sound engineers, music industry professionals, and musicians. We'll get to know them a little bit better and share some fun stories from the road. And my next guest is a great guitarist. He plays with the Ronnie Scott's Blues Explosion, and he has got his own quartet and a few other bands that he's associated with and plays with. He's a great guy. Had a fantastic chat with him. Please welcome my good friend, Marcus Bonfanti.
Oh, it's a nice one. Thank you for having me on, mate.
Oh, it's an honor to have you. I'm very glad that you've agreed to do this.
Yeah, man.
How are you today?
I'm all right. Yeah. It's Friday, so normally that would mean maybe even a couple of gigs this evening, but at the moment, it actually means going out to see an old friend of mine for a couple of
beverages,
couple of drinks before 9:30. So it's actually quite nice, man. Home by 10:30. I never thought I'd say it, but I'm quite looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Yeah, we're all getting older now, aren't we?
Yeah, man.
Brilliant, man. Right. How I like to start these things is if you could please introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do.
My name is Marcus Bonfanti. I'm a guitar player and singer, and I play with a few different projects. The main ones being 10 Years After, Jawbone, the Ronnie Scott's Blues Explosion, and my own solo work.
Yes. Marcus Bonfanti. It's a quartet, right?
Yes, that's it. Marcus Bonfanti. A trio usually, but to be honest, it's been a solo endeavour for a little while now.
You've been playing with yourself.
Yeah, exactly, for want of a better word.
Yeah, man. Brilliant. So, you are a fantastic blues guitarist. I know because I've got the fortune to work with you, and I have been working with you for 10, 11 years now.
Yeah,
doing the Blues Explosion at Ronnie's. So, tell us a little bit. Where did the journey start? Where did the guitar playing bug bite you?
It's funny. I was having this conversation with some people yesterday, actually, and I realised that I've got one answer that makes me sound very much like I had a bit of a musical epiphany, and another answer that might be more real, but it's been so long ago I can't remember which one's right. So I think they're probably both right. But
probably.
I was a classical trumpet player from about the age of 8 till I was about 18. As in, I was learning trumpet from 8, and I loved music. I loved playing in orchestras and in brass bands and in jazz bands, and I'd essentially thought that would be my musical life, was going to be playing trumpet in these setups. I loved it. And then at around 16, I heard rock and roll music, like proper rock and roll music for the first time, 60s, 70s rock and roll music. And it was a Led Zeppelin album that I always sort of remember hearing. Led Zeppelin 4 was, and that intro to Black Dog was the first time I remember thinking, oh my God, I've got to be able to make that noise. And I'd been messing around with guitar a little bit, as you do when you're a teenager. Yeah. But it was from that point that I was like, right, I need to get good at guitar and get in a band, form a band. That's what I want to do. The other option was, of course, the other sort of thing that I remember was, of course, it was a lot easier to meet girls when you were a guitar player in a band. So that sort of makes me sound slightly shallow, but might be closer to the truth.
Hey man, we're all teenagers once, and we know what it's like.
You know what I mean?
It's just biology. It's just nature. We are programmed to do this. To try and attract the opposite sex or the same sex, whichever one. But you're trying to attract those who you're attracted to.
And carrying a trumpet case didn't seem to do it, but carrying a guitar case for some reason did. And I ain't saying that trumpet players ain't sexy, because we know a few sexy ones, Tins. But it was just a weird thing. I just remember the amount of attention I got after picking up the guitar and forming a band was just like, it was incredible. And you just thought, who wouldn't want this life?
Exactly.
And then when you realise that this life could actually be a job one day, you're like, that's mental, man. Okay, let's make that happen.
Well, until very recently, and now you got to retrain.
yeah, man.
Oh my God, it's laughable, really.
Yeah, I don't know what else to do apart from laugh.
Yeah, because otherwise we're gonna cry, aren't we?
Yes, mate.
Yeah, shit, man. So did you? You said you were taking classical trumpet lessons. You were doing that, doing grades and everything, proper classical. You're going down that route. Do you come from a musical family? How did that all start?
Yeah, I would say I come from a musical family in that music was a huge part of my growing up. As in, it was always on in the house. We didn't really watch much TV. My mum plays some piano, so we always had a piano in the house. And her guitar was the first guitar I messed around on. And my dad, although he doesn't play an instrument, just loves music. And they would always have different music, a lot of music from their youth, so 60s music on in the house. And we'd get taken to classical concerts and jazz concerts and sort of things that they were into. And I remember thinking, like, I remember like a lot of my friends would get taken to like rock concerts or pop concerts. I remember a whole bunch of them got taken by their parents to Michael Jackson when he played at Wembley. Nice. And I remember thinking at the time, I don't really know who Michael Jackson is, but I was always used to be taken to like the Albert Hall for like these like huge classical recitals, which I loved. But I did remember thinking, okay, why don't we never get taken to those ones? Because they weren't really into any music really post 1969.
Brilliant. Well, they reserved all the good era music.
Yeah, it was good, but
the 70s were good as well.
The 70s was great, and I realised as I got older, there was a lot of musical gaps in my life of popular culture things that people just knew. So I had no idea.
Somewhere in the late Baroque era, you're kind of missing.
Exactly, and also the 80s. They refused to acknowledge the 80s happened musically.
Right, it didn't.
So there's a lot of
happen.
tunes.
The 80s didn't happen. You were
and
born, but
I was born in that decade.
That's probably why they were denying it. This never happened. It's never happened.
You're right. They were probably just rocking backwards and forwards, going, "What have we done? Why won't this child stop crying, man?" Yeah. So there's 80s references that people make to music. They go, "Oh, I love this tune when I was growing up," and I'll be hearing it for the first time.
Oh yeah, brilliant. Yeah, nice. You're like, who's this? Well, you should know this, Marcus. Tut tut.
Mate, there's been some embarrassing moments where people have all started singing, even tunes like I remember the first time I heard Sweet Caroline, Neil Diamond, right?
Yeah.
So I got played some Neil Diamond, but never that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when everyone knew the words to it, and I remember thinking, I missed the class where everyone got taught this tune, man.
Where was I? Oh, you were at that classical concert. That's when we were learning the lyrics to this one.
Exactly, man. I just remember thinking, like, yeah, there's a lot I don't know.
Well, I mean, in a sense, that's you've got more of a musical education than your peers, because you understand some of the roots of where it comes from, and I suppose that maybe have helped with your ability to orchestrate, to know how things fit in, because the songs that you write, they're just so smooth, and they just flow so well. So I'd imagine some of that sort of influence is from your early days.
Yeah. Someone once commented on it was quite weird. I worked with a producer, and he didn't know I played trumpet, but when it came up in conversation, and he said, "I thought you played an instrument like that," and he made reference to the fact that learning an instrument that only concerned with one line of music rather than piano or something with
something monophonic,
monophonic, that's the word. Yeah, he said he could tell that was my approach when singing. And I can't remember. He didn't really tell me exactly what, but it was weird that he correlated the two, and I always thought, that's interesting. I wonder, there must be. You are a product of what you do, aren't you? You're a product of your education.
Well, you mean you can't do a C major with your vocals? You can't hit all three notes at once? Come on, Marcus.
Oh, tunes, man. If I could, the man. Surely there's a market for that on YouTube, some sort of like musical freak show.
You know it. Just or you could go the Jacob Collier way and just sing it and have like 27 of you on screen.
That's too much for anyone, man. That's too. Yeah, I think even your own mother would be like, okay, that's a little much.
Yeah. There's the line, and then you're here. So just a little bit, just bring it back. Cool.
He blows my mind, that guy, man. That Jacob Collier dude. Like, I've watched a few videos, and it's just like his knowledge of. It's almost like he's taken it upon himself to learn everything about music, about harmony and melody, and like even to the point where when I listen to a tune played by him, I can't hear a song. I can just hear a load of theory.
Yeah.
And it's a shame for him because the song might be quite nice, but I can't hear it behind him flexing his massive musical organ at me the whole time.
Just lays it out on the table.
You're just like, oh yeah, okay, fine, nice one, mate.
Right, you want to compare, son? Yeah. No, I know. It's sometimes maybe it's very much musicians' music. You get those bands, especially sort of in the prog genre, where it's very much musicians' music.
I've been told that a lot sometimes by Lizzie when I put a record on. Usually, if it's something a bit avant-garde, she'll go, "Well, this just sounds like music for musicians." And I always used to take that as like
a compliment,
like a little bit, but then also a bit like, "Well, why don't you understand this?" And I just thought, well, actually, what she's saying is, I don't like this. And that's fine, isn't it? Because music's not for everyone. And I think, maybe what I get out of that record, like you said there, like as in maybe it gives me a validation of, I understand what they're doing there in some sort of way, and that makes me enjoy it more. And whereas she goes, well, I just don't like the sound that is being made. You go, well, that's sort of the main way to enjoy music, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you like the sound? Does it make you feel something?
No, it has to make you feel something.
You feel something different. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but there is also an element to the whole having a greater understanding of what's going on, and it's a sort of an intellectual enjoyment. And almost even like a little pat on your own back. It's like, oh, I can actually understand what's going on here. Wait,
I think you're right.
I must have achieved a higher level.
I've leveled up, man. That was maybe each of these records are like the end level boss of certain stages of your musical life.
Yeah. All right, Lizzie, let's get you training. Just get a training. Here, we'll start you slow. We'll bring in some a bit of rush, and then we'll bring in a little bit. We'll then a bit of Mike Stern, and we're gonna just progress, down the prog road and get you to understand.
Right, man. And then I've got some real
yourself.
like heavy like Eastern European prog that she can that sort of like level. That's maybe even like season 2 of the whole series.
The finale of season 2.
I picked up some Belarusian prog that's pretty cool, and also I got quite a lot of Hungarian funk.
Oh right.
Yeah.
That's I don't think I've gone down that route just yet myself, to be honest with you. But
it's the cool benefits of when we used to be able to travel. There was loads of gigs opened up in Eastern Europe over the last sort of 7-8 years, really.
Yeah.
And it means that you go out there, have these great shows, and also have access to all these amazing record stores. And when you walk in and you go, it's quite funny, when you walk in, the guy's always like, here's the English accent, and starts getting out all his Rolling Stones records and his Beatles records and things. And then you sort of go, no, man, I don't want, we can get that back home, man.
Let's go into that dark corner over there.
Yeah. What have you got from here, man? I want to know what music you've been making here for the last 50 years. And then you have these brilliant days, man.
Yeah, nice, man. That sounds. It's also when you do have time on tour. It's nice. Sometimes you don't have so much, as an hour in the morning when you're on heavy touring. My God, I remember João Caetano. Yes. Right. So apart from being the percussionist in Incognito, and this guy's he's a ninja. He's got his own band as well, and about 5 years ago, I remember he flew me out to Macau because he's from Macau, right?
Oh, wicked!
For a gig, and it was one of those where I'd been at Ronnie's until like 4 a.m. on the Thursday evening. Got to Heathrow like 9 a.m. I think. Flew out to Macau. Got there Saturday afternoon. Went straight into the venue, straight into sound check. Did the sound check. Had a bite to eat. Did the gig. Went back to the hotel. Went out until freaking 4 a.m., got some sleep, got up at 8, back to the airport.
Man.
I ended up traveling like 37 hours to be there for 32 hours.
It's a shame, innit, when it's places like that you would really like to see, that you get. It's always the way, really. Those places that you really want to see, you get limited time in there. Yet on your day off, you're put on a roundabout in rural France with nowhere to go.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We I was gonna say, damn it, I lost my train of thought. It was about touring, but yeah, like when we went to Istanbul as well, I wanted to be there, but we ended up, this taxi driver took us, I don't know, some weird route, and we ended up driving for 4 hours from the airport to the hotel, and then again,
man.
it's straight into the venue, it's like, oh damn it, I didn't even have time to get a kebab.
Yeah, that's the most frustrating thing, actually, isn't it? When things start overrunning and you just see that little bit of free time you might have relied on just slowly disappearing into sound check disappears into gig, and you're like, oh, we're gone.
Well, there we go. At least we had some good food.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
puts a lot of pressure on the night out afterwards as well. You're like, right, we need to go to every place then. We need to go everywhere and see as much of this city
half
as we
a drink
can.
here, half a drink there.
Yeah,
just a shot, half a drink. Yeah, it's funny. People always like, oh, you're a touring musician or a touring engineer. It must be so nice. You get to see the world. It's like, yep, I get to see airports and hotels and venues. It's pretty much what we see.
I do tend to change my story though, depending on who I'm talking to a lot. Because like, if I take my daughter to school and I'll maybe have a chat with someone at the school gate, and someone who goes, oh, I've seen you carrying a guitar around the neighbourhood. What is it you do? I always feel like I have to make it sound like my life is way more glamorous than it is to justify the fact that I have a joke for a job. So it's sort of like they sort of go, oh, it must be amazing seeing the world, and you go, oh yeah, we're sort of all over the place, man.
5-star hotels, and
you really sort of
palm
try and have
leaves
it up a bit.
dropped as we walk up to the hotel. It's just glamorous.
Yeah, rather than saying, Wednesday when you saw me. Oh yeah, no, I was on my way to my first of 3 gigs in London that I have to do to pay the rent in this extortionate city.
Yeah,
and,
right.
Might not eat today. We'll do it all on the tube, and we'll probably get 3 night buses home to make sure I can make enough money that day to sort of justify it. Yep. So you sort of leave those ones out, and you just go, yeah, but on Friday we fly to Berlin, and it's going to be all a bit different.
Yeah, very lovely. Well, I suppose we've got to take the good with the bad. It's.
Oh man, I love it, but I just I just wonder sometimes what some of the other parents at her school think I actually do. Because I do often think some people. We were talking about this at Ronnie's the other night, actually. The night we were there, about a week ago.
Yeah.
And it was Frank, I think, brought up the sort of funny quote that we get a lot when you go, oh, what do you do? I'm a musician, and they go, Eva, no, but what do you actually do? Or,
yeah.
Oh, can you make a living out of that? And you sort of go, yeah.
Well, I've done it so far.
Yeah. I think people still don't. Understand that there's not a disparity between Springsteen and everyone else. There's actually, like, if you're not Springsteen, then it's a hobby for you.
Yeah, right.
It's like there is quite a large gap of existence between those two things that you can make a really decent living.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and they're being a musician, the possibilities kind of are endless. You can be a teacher, you can be in a band, you can be a solo artist, you could be only like a studio guy, you can write music for movies, you can do all these things. There are various levels, and a lot of the times we end up doing all of them. Doing a solo thing, and being in a band, and being a teacher, and writing a bit for this guy, and then doing a collaboration in Australia, and all these sorts of things.
That's what we want, surely. It's the variety, isn't it? That's the best thing. I mean, same in your. I mean, because your line of work is the same as ours. It's like you as much as you'd love to, sort of. A lot of the time, you think maybe I'd like to do one specific thing. I don't know if you're the same as me. I think I'd miss the variety if I only did one thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did when I when I worked in the studio. I worked in a like a post-production studio about a year and a bit ago. I ended, but even though it was a very interesting, because we were doing all the international dubbing.
Cool.
My boss is the international dubbing supervisor for Warner Brothers.
Oh, great.
And he's one of those hyper polyglots. He speaks 18 languages, and
Wow.
so it was very interesting to work on these things and to see how it all comes together. But after a while, I was just like, right. So coming into the studio every day doing this, it kind of got a bit, and then I realized that it's not really for me.
Yeah.
I'd like it to be, but it's not. I've even when I did full time at Ronnie Scott's in the beginning, I realized very quickly that even though I'm doing the job that I love, the same amount of times that I would have anyway, I'd be working 5-6 days a week anyway, but just having to go to the same place every day, it got me to the point where I was like, okay, I don't want to do this. I felt a bit sort of trapped. So some people are good with a full-time thing, and other people, they need the variety. Like, we're like Odin. We're the far wanderers. We want to go and check it out.
Also, there may be a time when in all of our lives where we go. I think I've seen it with musicians who tour a lot and then go, actually, I want some regularity.
Yeah.
And other ones who, like you said, do something regular. You think they're happy as they ever been, and So I think that's the beauty of our industry, isn't it, Teens? The ability to change. If you do go, well, I don't want to do this no more. Well, there are, like you said, the opportunities are endless. If you're willing to go out and get them, then there's plenty. I mean, this is weird, isn't it? You're sort of still talking about a world post March 2020.
Yeah.
Sorry, pre-March 2020.
Pre-March 2020,
like all those options were there. A world post-March 2020, who knows? But I kind of feel like we'll get back there.
I think so. I think it's, there's so much new sort of evidence and stuff coming to light that maybe will hopefully see us going into some normality again. Not the new normal, because fuck that shit.
Yeah, I agree,
talking about a proper normality. I saw this thing about how Sweden's doing yesterday, and they're doing quite well. With their second wave, if you will, is about 3,400 out of 50. The UK has 57,000 new cases in this new wave, and Sweden's got 3,400.
Right. Okay.
So
it's quite a difference.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are factors that are involved. Geographically, they're more further spread apart, and they're 50 people per square kilometer, whereas in the UK it's 200. It's all but still, I don't know, man. It's just Let's just hope it gets back to normal.
We were talking about this. I was talking with Nick Cohen at Ronnie's the other night. We were saying, well, obviously live music is coming back. It's not. I think there's a lot of doom and gloom about. It may never. It's obviously you can't stop it. It will come back, but it's just a matter of when. I think. I think people go, oh yes, but in what format? You go, the same format. It will come back in the same format.
I'm still going to play my guitar in real time.
Yeah, in front of people, like we did the other night. We played in front of people, man.
Yeah.
Okay, now I didn't find the gig weird at all, really.
No.
I mean, I'm used to playing to very small audiences. That was always the joke, man.
At least you're not a jazzer, because then you'd be playing to fewer people.
There we go. But that was a joke at the beginning of lockdown, man. It's like when you go, well, it's going to be reduced capacity audiences, and one of us would always go, hey, man, I've been playing the blues for years. I'm used to reduced capacity audiences.
That's right, a man and his dog.
You know what I mean? It was that sort of vibe. But I didn't find it weird at Ronnie's being 50%. I just found it, I felt like, I don't know if you felt the same thing as me, Tins. I felt like the room had an amazing energy in it.
Oh, 100%.
Really wanted to see and experience and feel something, and that transferred to all of us, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There was such a good energy, and I mean, but you guys are all professionals, and you bring it every time.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but
why wouldn't you?
The difference between the live stream that we did like 6 weeks ago and the gig that you did a week ago was there was this electricity in the air. Everybody's just so keen and so eager. Like it's almost like you feel the vibration or see an aura. Everything's purple, everybody's happy and ready to go, and they're just
exactly.
like, I want to get involved. And I think really we should be left as consenting adults to make our own decisions. If you don't want to go out, if you feel that you're at risk, stay home. Do
I know what
these
you mean.
things. But if you're relatively healthy or whatever, if you're of sound mind and you can decide for yourself as a sovereign human being, I know the risks and I gladly take them to go and do these things. And if I get bitten in the ass by this, then so be it. But I made my choice, and it's just the problem is just all these lateral effects that has been sort of exaggerated during this period where, suicides are up and homicides are up, domestic abuse is up, and drug and alcohol abuse is up. I mean, I don't know basically anybody that's told me, I actually started drinking less during lockdown.
No,
I don't
know.
think I've ever heard that,
It's been a natural sort of, I don't know, not maybe natural, but it's just been a reaction to this sort of big sort of front of like, you can't do all the things you used to do, and it's almost a bit like, I'll show you I can, and harder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll do it on my own even.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. I'm with you in the way teens that I feel like there is zero trust between governance and people these days. But it goes both ways. And I think that if the government want people to trust them more, they've got to extend some trust the other way. And I feel like the gap between is widening and widening. And because they almost say to the population, well, you can't be trusted, and look what happens when we let you do what you want, and you go, well, you never have let the population do what they want. You've ring-fenced them so hard that they have to make these extreme reactions or do things. I think genuinely, if you left people to their own devices, most people just want to get on with each other.
That's it.
Have a nice time and don't want to put each other or themselves in harm's way. I think that's what people want to do.
Yeah, just get on with their lives, really.
Yeah, and I've operated under obviously I've operated lawfully, because you do. That's what you do as a human being. But to be honest, they haven't made many laws, so that's been quite easy. Yeah. But what I've operated under is I just trust my friends and I trust the people I know. So I'll meet up with them knowing that they are responsible and sensible people.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody has a bit of a sore throat or whatever, they'd be like, listen, I'm not coming tonight because I don't want to put you at risk. Exactly. I don't care about myself, but I don't want to put everybody else at risk. And, what you would do is call everybody up that you haven't seen or that you have seen in a week and say, listen, just to let you know, I've got a bit of a scratch, tickly throat. Just, be on the lookout for these things.
Well, I mean, case in point, at the beginning in March, I got the flu, right? I have had the flu before. It's something that you can get. This was just as it was all happening. I didn't have any of the symptoms. I think it was just like a cough and a fever, wasn't it? The first two. I had neither of those, man. I had the flu.
Right.
But because in this heightened feeling of like, well, what is it I have got? So in the end, basically, I just locked myself in the room in my bedroom for 3 days, watched a bunch of films, phoned my mum and said, listen, because I went to see her the day before, I said, listen, I've got the flu. If you feel in any way ill at any point, just go to the doctors straight away. Nothing happened. I watched 3 days of films that came out. It was fine. But that's the thing. You just, like you said, people act in that responsible way, regardless of a global pandemic. Just do it. Just be nice.
Exactly. That's something that you would do anyway, right?
Just be nice to each other, man.
That's it.
Shouldn't take a global pandemic to work out that we should all just be nice to each other.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the sort of anger and animosity towards each other hasn't really made things easy. I kind of hope that this unity in all being in the same boat of being locked down would bring people together and more caring and more considerate, but it seems to have just pissed a lot of people off. And that's exponentially just grown into this polar opposites where you're not allowed to even ask a question or have any kind of differing opinion. I mean, because I'm of the mind that I like to ask questions. I'm not just going to take everything at face value, especially when the government tells me something. If they tell me it rains, I'm going to go check for myself because You never.
Yeah.
Being a huge fan of history and someone who does study and read up on history quite a lot, just out of my own, never really has government been there for the betterment of the people, but only for themselves and more power. Never have they gone like, oh wait, hold on a second, we've got a bit too much power here. I have some back. Once they've opened that gate, the gate stays open.
Of course.
There's no going back from there. So
it's my worry with a lot of the measures that they bring in is that nothing ever goes back to how it was. Exactly. Once they make a change and they go, but it's just because until this is passed, you go, no, it's going to stay. It always stays.
Yeah.
And I think that's what has happened and is happening. And I see a lot of things going, well, that won't go back to the normal. That's a shame.
Yeah.
That won't, going out for a drink and not having to scan a QR code on the entrance. That's not going back, is it?
No.
That's happening.
Yeah.
And also the amount of money that venues and places have invested in all this new technology, it's just going to stay. It's just going to stay.
Yeah,
so you go, that's where we are now.
That's where we are. Let's just go play the blues in the cave somewhere, mate. I'll tell you what.
Mate, that sounds very appealing.
At least you get some nice natural reverb in there.
Mate, it would sound pretty good actually. Maybe we should do that, teams. Maybe let's just go off to like some southern Spanish place where all those where those cave dwellers live, man. We're like around Sierra Nevada kind of way. Just do a couple of records in there.
Oh, mate. Yeah, we've got actually in South Africa. There's one of the major cave. How do you call it? A cave complex? What do you call it?
Oh, really?
Like one of these. And in there, in the entrance, they've built an amphitheater, and it's freaking incredible. I think it's the Kango Caves. In the Eastern Cape, I think, and it's fucking mate. It's something quite remarkable. So, it's nice if you can do that. Use the natural acoustics.
I went to a venue actually. I don't know if you may have played it. I've never played it. I just went to see it in August. It was down in Cornwall called the Minack Theatre, and it's look it up on the internet, man. It's pretty spectacular. I can't remember exactly what town or place it is, but it's an amphitheatre built facing the sea out of the rock.
Nice.
So the band plays with their backs to the sea, and the audience sit in this big amphitheatre and just watch a gig and the sea as the sun goes down.
I remember seeing that post of yours. Yeah, man, it's
beautiful.
It's so incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I just went to look at it. I wish I could have seen something there.
Yeah. What, like a whale jumping?
Mate, we did see a whale. Well, my mate says he saw a whale.
Oh, right.
And then there was a bit, and then there was sort of a chat with some locals that said it might have actually been a rock. But he was, we were proper like London boys down in Cornwall asking stupid questions. Oh, I think I saw a whale. Oh, was that the giant squid? Oh, shark. And it's like, but
it's the Kraken,
he's convinced. Mate. Exactly. He's convinced he saw a whale. I would just like him to have seen a whale. So I just want that to be the story.
Brilliant. Yeah, shit, man. Oh, that's quite a spectacular thing to see. There's a place near Cape Town called Hermanus, and every November they come there and they do it's for mating and stuff, and you just see them. And they come so close to the shore, like
really?
Sometimes 30-40 meters from shore. They just come because the sea is the ocean is quite deep. There, so it's not like the Mediterranean where you can walk for 5 kilometers and only be knee deep.
Yeah.
It kind of goes down, so we get to see those things. It's pretty.
How many are we talking? How many whales are we talking turning up?
Well, usually a pot of like 6, 7, 8.
Amazing,
just sort of
man.
like jumping around and swimming and surfacing, and it's every November people go and just watch the whales do their thing.
I'd be happy to watch from the shore. I wouldn't fancy getting in with them.
No, I think they're quite placid, but still, I wouldn't.
No, that's still something that big.
I'm just super scared of sharks.
So am I.
Mate, I'm very fascinated by sharks. Very, very fascinated by them. And I know, I read every little detail I can read about sharks. I'm always there. I'm reading it.
How have we not talked about this before, Tins?
Mate, I tell you what, sharks. I'd love to go cage diving one day. I just want to do it. It's like facing your fear. I'm not okay being out of the cage. No.
No
okay.
way.
No, forget it. But I'd like to just be there. You know, it's kind of like a roller coaster. It's dangerous,
exactly.
but not really.
Yeah.
And then
I would love to do. All right, yeah, that's yeah. I've often thought about it, but I think the opportunity has never presented itself. I think if the opportunity presented itself, if I was somewhere and someone went, oh, by the way, you could do some cage up, then I'd do it. But I think
if you're on the boat and the cage is there, you know, like, oh, by the way, Marcus, we have a cage and we got some chum and I can see some fins. You want to just quickly pop in? Just quickly.
No, I don't want to buy the way we have a cage. I want a cage that's been tested and.
It's just like chicken wire. You look at this cage, and it's like chicken wire. It's been put together with duct tape. Yeah,
exactly,
no, it's fine. I dove in there yesterday. It's fine.
Yeah, I've watched too many films now. I mean, Jaws is my favourite film of all time. Jaws is always my favourite film.
I remember because I watched Jaws as well when I was like 3 or 4 years old, you know, which was probably a bit of a faux pas on my parents' part, you know. But I watched Jaws 1, 2, and 3, and I remember after watching number 3, I was too scared to go take a bath. You know, I was no. But I was 5 years old. You know, I was like, of course I'm going to think stupid things like that.
Even to this day, I don't like being in a swimming pool on my own, and I will get out of the swimming pool if I'm the only person in it. Because in my head, I am convinced either that there is a secret trapdoor under that swimming pool where all the sharks are, and one will be let in.
They're waiting for you to be alone.
Or there was one, yeah, exactly. And I've been in hotel swimming pools before where someone's got out and I've swum to the side as quick as possible and just got out, knowing fully how irrational
why are you getting out? Why are you getting out? What is going on?
Yeah, why are you getting out? In the ocean, I can't be the furthest person out. There's got to be at least two or three people further out than me, so that they get chomped first and I at least have a head start.
Oh, these are all things you know that that's not how it works, right?
Well, it has to in my head, otherwise I'd never go in the sea.
Oh, mate, yeah. I think something like 36 or 40% of shark attacks happen in water lower than
like
waist depth.
Height. Yeah. See, I've watched too many videos. I've seen too many films. I own most of those really fantastic B-movie shark films.
Oh, yeah.
I love them.
Yeah. Have you seen The Meg?
Do you know what? No one will watch it with me. The other night I thought we were going to end up watching it. I had a couple of Isabella's school friends over, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, my dad said we could watch The Meg," and I was thinking, well, if he says he can watch The Meg, let's all watch it together here. And then I just thought he might be lying. I don't want to be the parent that
quickly call the dad up. Listen, so we just watched The Meg.
Yeah.
Because your son said you could, and now
exactly.
He wants to come home.
He
no more sleepover.
No, he won't drink his water. So yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I think there's a night coming up soon where I'm home alone. So I think it's going to be a Meg.
Brilliant.
A nice big pizza in the Meg.
And 47 meters down.
Mate, I saw that. Yeah,
Have you seen The Reef?
Yes, I saw The Reef.
Jesus.
That was,
and that's a true story, mate.
That's a true story, yeah.
Oh, I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
Even though I know it was bullshit, like that those two sharks were kind of hunting them, I still didn't care. I still think it was like, that's just the scariest thing I've seen.
Well, I mean, yeah, well, that's the story that they tell, don't they?
No, I know, but I know in the film they sort of made it look like they were really conscious and had a vendetta against those particular
people. How are you in my water? How dare you? This guy just didn't pee in my water. I'm going to have him.
Did you see the one set in Australia where there's a tsunami and it floods the supermarket and they all get trapped in the supermarket with the sharks in the supermarket?
Oh, so brilliant.
All the supermarket aisles are filled with water and they're on the top of the shelves.
Oh.
And then there's 3 sharks in there with them and they've got to work out. Oh, mate, I think that's on Amazon.
Brilliant.
I can't remember what it's called. It's an Australian one.
Brilliant.
Fucking brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah, I know. But yeah, did you ever hear about that surfer kid in Jeffreys Bay that was attacked by 2 great whites at once?
No.
Right? So he was young, he was like 16, 17, right? Surfing, and then 2 great whites attacked him at once, like from opposite sides. and they're solitary hunters. So this was
Wow. Okay.
this
Okay,
was
unprecedented,
quite a,
yeah.
and he was very lucky. He only got like a small little bite on his hand.
No way, he survived this.
Survived it, mate. And then the best thing, about 9 months later, this kid got attacked again by a great white shark. And
I mean,
then,
what's he doing back in the water after that?
well, he's back in there. He's surfing. And then I remember watching a documentary about a year or so later, and they were speaking with him, and the reporter guy just so happened to ask, so if you need to go to the toilet when you're out there, what do you do? Do you swim out and then go behind the bushes, or? And this guy's like, oh no, I just go in the water. I just go in my wetsuit. It's fine. And then the guy's like, aha, because what happens is, like, the smell in your urine gives off the same pheromones that a fish that's in distress does.
No way.
So the sharks would smell that and hone in on him in this way. So the guy was like, well, maybe you should not do that anymore, since you've already been attacked twice.
Ever again.
Yeah, definitely run out to the bushes, or just make sure you're not the deepest, Marcus.
That's the thing, man. I mean, and I'm talking like when I'm off the coast of Cornwall, but in my head, I'm still thinking, not only do I not want to get attacked by a shark, I don't want to be the only dude that ever died from shark attack off the coast of fucking Cornwall. Like, as a double, you know, I wasn't ashamed what happened to Marcus. Yeah, I know, what an idiot. Got eaten by a shark in England.
Ooh, go figure. You know, people swim the English Channel all the time. This fucker gets eaten off the coast of Cornwall.
Off the coast of Cornwall in 2 feet of water. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Brilliant.
so I'm glad to know that I've found that there's few of us that are this shark centric, and I'm scared of sharks right now, right this minute. I am petrified of sharks.
Yeah,
even though we're in London.
I remember when we growing up in high school, we had a big sort of dam next to town, and we'd go and do water skiing and go on the tubes and stuff on the weekends when we weren't playing rugby. And even in there, right, when I get thrown off the tube or something, and I'm just drifting in the water, and I'm like, there's nothing underneath me. It's just like, it's this 360-degree threat all the time. It's like, and I can't even see in the water. Oh my God!
By the way, Tians, that was the most South African thing I've ever heard in my life. When we used to go jet skiing, when we weren't playing rugby on the weekends, as if like, obviously, that would have been the first thing.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, we usually went after rugby games as well. A mate of mine's dad, he had a boat, so
nice,
that was what we did. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, just
imagine.
like drifting in the water is.
I'm not into it.
It's just, you know, at least if I'm on land, I know there's nothing's going to come from underneath me. You know?
Yeah.
I've been
also, I can outrun a shark. If it's me and the shark on
land,
I back me. In the water, no, thank you.
Yeah, no way you're going to win that motherfucker. Yeah, no, I mean, I've you know, grew up sort of wild, you know, went hunting and stuff since I could walk, hunting and fishing and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, I have faced real life imminent threats. Like, you know, my dad and I, we were attacked by a leopard when I was in Zimbabwe, when I was 11, and these sorts of things. But at least it's something that you can see. It's in this sort of bit that you can see here. It's not going to come from underneath. You know, we don't.
Yeah.
It's not like Dune where you've got those massive sandworms. They're just going to swallow you whole. So, you know.
I think it's with all those fears, isn't it? I mean, I used to be scared of flying until I had to do it all the time in order to tour. So I just had to deal with it. And I remember thinking about why I'm scared of flying. I remember thinking, well, if some people get scared in a boat, and I think if this boat sinks, I can swim. I know how to swim, right? Yeah. So I'm not 100% fucked. Because, okay, I probably will eventually drown if I'm not near enough land, but I can at least swim and survive for a bit. On land, I can deal with land. In the air, if something goes wrong, I have no skills.
Yeah, you definitely fly. No.
You know, well, I don't know, but I'm assuming I can't fly. And so it's
you'll soon find out, mate. I tell you what.
In that situation, yeah.
Fuck it. I'm just going to open the door. And just give it a go. What's the worst that can happen?
I mean, if faced with imminent death, I would I would sort of, even jumping out that plane, would think, I mean, I might be able to fly.
I might
I've
give
never
it a
tried.
shot.
I never tried, but at least you know that you have skills in water and land. You just don't in the air.
Yeah, I used to think when I was little that if a plane crashes, right, and you've got it timed right, just before it hits the ground, like you jump out, then you don't fall as fast, so you'll be okay.
I still think that's my last resort. I still believe that
right at the last moment.
If
2
we get
stories
5 feet off the ground, I could jump from here. Yeah, I'll be fine. Yeah,
I've jumped off 2 stories before. It's no problem. Yeah, that usually doesn't end very well, does it?
I don't think so. But no, I think you've got to set up these little things. I think, right, life. If you think about life too much in sort of just brutal, honest facts, why would you ever do anything?
Yeah.
You've got to have a little bit of like fancy in your mind to go, well, I want to do that. And if I think about it in just the pure like real world thing, yeah, you'd never go on a roller coaster, you'd never get in a car. You've got to just sort of every now and then just go, oh well, maybe I could jump from a plane and land on my feet. Maybe even do a little roll.
Just do a tuck and roll, mate. Yeah, just do the tuck and roll.
Yeah.
Maybe I could
fight a shark.
There was a guy in the 80s, I remember, who survived his parachute not opening. He survived, and he only broke like a few bones in his foot by doing the old tuck and roll. I was like, wow, that's some skill, man.
His window of timing for that must have been so slim.
Yeah. It's incredible. Because, I mean, most of the time people die of a heart attack before they even hit the ground. I think if you can stay conscious long enough and like, I'm going to give this a go, this old tuck and roll, it might hurt. My hips might come through my ears, but hey, at least I gave it a good old shot.
What have you got to lose, I suppose, in that situation?
There's nothing. The ground is the bottom. It's the zero.
Yeah, man. See, that's another thing. I'm not sure if I could ever do a parachute jump. That's maybe that's too. You've probably done it, Tiz. You probably used to do it on Thursday after school or something.
No, I haven't. I'd love to though. That and bungee jumping, I'd like to do. Another one of those sort of conquer your fears. I'm not one that's scared of heights. Like I'll walk up to the edge, but I'm still sort of like I don't get the urge to jump.
Yeah, I don't, but I do get the weird thoughts of like, I wonder what everyone would do right now if I jumped.
Oh, you're one of those. I sometimes get that as the tube approaches. I'm like, I wonder what people think if I just jump.
I mean, I remember talking. I think a lot of people have got that little. It's that sort of little switch in your head that you'd like to switch, but it's like a massive red button that you can't press. And I remember saying to a guitar player friend of mine recently, and a bass player I play with a lot actually. We all sort of opened up to each other about this. Like, so do you know what? Sometimes when you're having quite an intense conversation with someone, and it's a fine conversation, but it's quite intense. Do you ever get the urge just to sort of punch them really hard in the face just to see what would happen? and sometimes when someone would bring that up and everyone would go, no. Both people went, yeah, I do actually. So I'd never do it. I'd never ever do it. But it's just your mind goes into this overdrive, probably because the conversation's so intense you want to break the tension in the most horrible and weird way possible.
Yeah.
And you'll never do it. But it's like with all those things we're talking about, with like bungee jumping and parachute, it's like a bit like, I know I'm not going to die because the chute will open or the cord will bring me up, but there'll be that split second before where you go, am I going to?
Yeah.
Then it's the saving bit.
Is this going to work out or not?
Bit. Yeah.
Shit. Yeah. Yeah, the fun. Yeah, I think it's like you said, you can't think about these things too much because you'll never do anything.
Nah.
People are always telling me as well, oh, you ride a motorcycle, it's so dangerous. Like, yes, I'm aware it's a dangerous thing, but driving a car is dangerous. Crossing the road could kill you.
But you
can choke on a fucking grape, mate.
Yeah, and we talked earlier, man. If there's an element of common sense and sensibleness that can hedge your bets one way or the other, and I think if you're sensible on a motorbike, you're very much less at risk than someone who drives a car like an idiot.
Yes.
It's just all these different sort of, it's not one rule for everyone.
No, it's absolutely not. And that's where everybody has their different musical tastes as well.
There we are. Yeah.
I'm very much of the rock and roll, classical all the way to rock and roll and heavy metal and all. But pop and hip hop and those things they're just not for me. But
Mm.
then they are for other people, and that's the beauty is like the variety, brings because how boring would life be if we were all the same?
Most definitely, and I've learnt a lot from listening to my daughter get into music. She's 9 now, so I don't control her musical taste as much as I'd like to, but she basically listens to whatever she wants,
Right.
and she will listen to pop music from nowadays with her friends because they all love it and they love dancing to it and they love having fun with it, and she likes those tunes.
Yeah.
But then she will also listen to a lot of records from my record collection that are old blues records, folk records, rock and roll records from back then, jazz records, but not just for any other reason than she has particular ones that she likes.
Yeah.
And there's someone who's just enjoying music for what it makes her feel. She doesn't know it's cool to like a certain pop star right now. She's kind of learning that it is
Good.
cool to learn certain pop stars of the now because she fits in with her friends.
Of course.
But at the same time, she doesn't yet know that it's really uncool to want to listen to Lead Belly records with your dad.
Well, hopefully, it's never going to become uncool to do that.
I think it will go in a stage. I think she'll, by the time she's in her teens, she might go, yeah, okay, everyone thinks that's uncool. But then I think by the time she gets to sort of like her later teens into it, she'll go, actually, no, that was pretty cool. We should listen to Lead Belly more.
Yeah, it's time to go back full circle.
Yeah.
So, your transition from playing the trumpet to playing the guitar, you said you were 16 and you picked up the guitar. Was there, apart from, Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin, that's who's been your inspirations? And going from rock and roll to becoming a massive blues man, where was the transition there?
I suppose it did come through Led Zeppelin and the bands of that era. Led Zeppelin, Fleetwood Mac, The Cream, and then listening to a lot of Rory Gallagher, Free, all those bands. Basically, the UK British blues sort of revival got me hip to all these old blues musicians from America that I'd never heard of. So I'm looking at albums I'm buying, back then I was getting them from the library, like it's the CD and tape library.
Yeah.
And you'd be looking, and the credit would not be the name of anyone in the band. It would be, like back then you might have even M. Morganfield or like W. Dixon, and you're thinking like, well, who are these people? I know they're not in the band. And then I'd go to the library and try and find these names.
Some Mud Morganson and stuff.
Yeah, on other CDs, and I'd be like, oh, and it was basically a compilation of the blues. I remember seeing there was Muddy Waters, Willie Dixon. There was another tune, I think it was a J.B. Lenoir tune on a John Mayall record. And I remember finding all these names on one CD thinking, oh, I have lucked out, man. This is probably the CD that they had.
Brilliant.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when I listened to that music, man, like my whole world just blew apart. I'd never heard anything so honest and so true in my life. I didn't even have any reference point for what they were singing about. I didn't know much about that time of the world in America or anything. I just knew what I was hearing was just pure, like, naked truth.
Emotion. Just
yeah.
And raw emotion.
Then I just couldn't get enough. And then I'm like that sort of with stuff. I just had to know
consume
and
it all,
everything I could. Yeah. But the good thing is back in those days. I mean, we're only talking like mid to late 90s. You couldn't consume it all. You had to take time because CDs cost a lot of money. So you could buy one CD for a month or 2 months, and then you have more money to buy another CD. You might go to the library, but they didn't have everything, man. So you'd sort of rinse the library of its sort of very small blues. I mean, even at the HMV, it would be like the jazz and blues section was just this one little sliver of shelf where you'd be there with a Duke Ellington record in the same bit as a sort of Howlin' Wolf record, and it was just there was never enough, which was a good thing, because I could get obsessed about stuff and I could listen to the same record over and over again and just fall in love with it, and it would just dictate my entire life until I could get another one.
But then in that 2 months between CD buys, you would do a lot of research as well, because you don't want to waste your money on that next CD. You want to make sure that you've got the right one. It's got to be. I remember, I took a long time before buying albums. I used to buy, once every month or so. When I was an adult, when I was making my own money, because growing up I didn't have all that money, so
No.
I would spend a lot of time. And when we used to be able to go and do the trial listens in HMV and stuff, and you these 10 albums, I want to listen to them, and you're in there for 3-4 hours just listening through through the albums, and it's it was a different thing back then. Even like getting that album almost felt like an accomplishment. I'm going to go have a pint and celebrate this fucking amazing album I just bought.
I used to open it on the tube back, because I didn't have a Walkman. I think I had a cassette Walkman back then, but I didn't have a CD Walkman, and that was only for people who had some proper money. But we had a CD player, and I remember on a tube, like opening it up, reading the inlay cards,
booklet,
before I'd even heard the record sometimes, or having listened to it like you in that on the headphones in the little booth, and then taking it home and just being like, I cannot wait to put this on, just trying to get as much
fiddling
of it
with
as I
it.
could.
You're like, I just want to hold it. I just want to hold it. It's so beautiful. And
they were, man.
Even when the music's playing, you're still holding on to the cover. You're
always reading it, having a look. Yeah, oh man, I can still smell them, man. I mean, it was that's weird with the nostalgia thing. I think a lot of people can't understand why, or aren't disappointed that CDs are gone. And I kind of agree. I go, okay, yeah, fair enough. Look, you can get really high quality audio, from most places. And then if you want the tangible thing, buy the vinyl. It looks better. But for our generation, man, CDs were a massive thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about the sound quality or the way it looked or anything. It was the fact that, like you said, man, you bought your own music with your own money.
Yeah.
Like, what an achievement, man, going out and buying. It was like you stamping your identity on life. You were going, I'm into this band, which makes me this kind of person. I work this shit job in order to do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I got the fucking card to prove it now.
That's right. It's my badge right here.
Yeah.
I'm into these guys. I've got all their albums.
Yeah.
Before you could just download whatever you want, and it was.
And then with mates coming over, man. Do you remember that? Like,
oh man,
I remember
just
my
listening
best
to
mate
music
getting
until
a
4 or 5 in the morning.
But you go over to the guy I'm seeing tonight, man. He would sometimes have I don't know how he managed to do it, because he wasn't like mad well off, but he would always have the money to get the new record before us.
Yeah.
And I think because he probably had a job before we did, and so he would get the new record, the new CD, and then we would all go over to his house.
Yeah.
And we would listen to it 3, 4, 5 times until you absolutely had to go to listen to it again, and then
you're at the door putting your shoes on with one ear in the living room.
And you're already saying, like, can we come back over again tomorrow, man? Because we've got to listen. And then maybe after a week, he might lend it to you. And you'd be like, no, I got it for a bit. And then you might be able to...
Copy it.
Yeah, copy
Stick it on tape. Stick it on tape.
Yeah. And you could never get the whole... Because I used to try and get 2 CDs on a C90. So there's a bunch of albums from the 90s that I didn't realise had had a track on the end that I've never heard.
The bonus tracks.
45. No, just because the CDs are like 47 minutes long.
So
you could never have the last track to fit on the C90.
Brilliant.
There's records, like classic records, like Nirvana records,
Yeah.
where up until about maybe 10 years ago, I'd never heard the last track.
When did they bring out the song?
I thought it was a reissue.
Is this from the vault? Because I've got this album and it's not... What's going on? I'm confused. Someone hold me, please.
I need an adult. It's oh man, I love talking about that. About how we used to do music. It was so exciting, wasn't it? It was so exciting.
Yeah, I remember we used to, just go to somebody's house, because coming from a small town, we did quite a fair bit of drinking. Because what else were you gonna do? Play rugby and get sloshed, And we'd we'd just sit in the living room in somebody's house till like 4 or 5 in the morning, listening to these albums over and over and over a couple of beers, and just it just absorbing it all in. And it was just, music was such a big part of your identity, even, who the bands that you listen to and the things, and you can sort of see which people you're gonna end up getting along with, man. And not,
Well, it went with fashion as well. Everything moved with music, man. If you were into certain music, you dressed a certain way, and you went to certain places, and then that put you in the place with other people who dressed a certain way and listened to certain music, and you had this, because there was no social media, you couldn't start a movement online. You had to be somewhere.
You had to go there,
and be with people, and that's what I loved it. And also there was never this sort of, there was always that, well, you know, this is what I loved about growing up in Camden was, oh yeah, well, what are you? Are you a goth? Are you an indie kid?
You're
are
a
you
punk.
like what's the deal? Are you a punk? Exactly. Or there was still a bit like acid jazz and the jazzers kind of people, but it didn't matter, man. There was never any. Camden is just where everyone hung out together. And then when it came to the time for a live music to happen, everyone just shot off to a different venue. Some went off to the Electric Ballroom, some went to the Jazz Cafe, rest of us went to the Dublin Castle or the Underworld or something. And then afterwards, we'd all be in the same pubs again, having a drink afterwards. It was just really, really beautiful.
Right, so you grew up in Camden, you were born and raised there.
Yeah. I was born just up the road, but I did all my proper growing up in Camden Town.
Nice. Check you out.
It was great.
Well, I suppose everybody's going to be from somewhere, right?
yeah. But it's I mean, Camden in the 90s was a vibe, man. I loved it,
man. I love Camden. Even when I remember when I arrived in London, Camden was the place. It was just awesome. And then also you could buy mushrooms there, which was which was
it
was a lot of fun.
Lawless, man.
It was a lot of
pretty
fun.
Lawless. Yeah, that's why I say I did a lot of my growing up in Camden, because I don't think I don't really didn't really acknowledge just how free you were in that place. Like you talk with people about doing a lot of things when you're a teenager, and a lot of my friends not from London will talk about doing it like at a friend's house or in fields somewhere where they all get together, in someone's garden, or and it was all a bit covert.
Yeah.
Whereas we were just doing it right in the centre of town.
Yeah,
and there was no problem about it, and it was I sort of definitely took for granted just how much freedom we were allowed to just be and grow up in that place. It was great.
Yeah, it's I mean, I'm of the other side where we would go to somebody's farm and sit by a tree and did these things, and
I get quite sort of jealous of that as well, because that sounds wicked.
It was good. It was fun. Yeah, we got up to silly things, but never. Well, I won't say that we didn't put ourselves in danger, because we kind of did. But growing up the way we did, we were fortunate to grow up rough and rustic. We had our things where we'd go swimming in rivers and almost get eaten by crocodiles and things like that.
Okay, fair play. No wonder you're scared of water, Teens.
Yeah, true, man. Yeah, shit. It's you gotta have your wits about you, mate. That's one thing for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Served you well, brother. It served you well.
Yeah. Well, I've got that sixth sense. Always looking over my shoulder. I'm still here though. I was thinking about writing a book about all these experiences I've had growing up, because there's been a few close calls, close shaves, man. Being chased by a pod of hippopotami when we're in the middle of the lake.
They're supposed to be pretty quick, aren't they?
Yeah, they're super dangerous, man. They're responsible for more deaths than all the other land-dwelling animals combined. Just because they're so fiercely territorial, really. Because they're like you, they're vegetarians. But you've got a lot in common with hippos, Marcus.
I am the same, man. If someone tries to have a bit of my salad, they might lose a finger.
Lose a fucking arm, mate. What are you talking about? Oi, that's mine. That's my leaf.
Actually, it's only for margarita pizza. If someone comes and tries to take a slice of my pizza and they've got meat on theirs and I know I can't take one of theirs, they are liable to lose an arm.
Yeah, well, that's just selfish. That's just that's the people don't do that. Unless you've got something to give back, don't take.
Yeah. And I don't take that into most of life. I'm pretty fluid, but it's something about pizza just sets me off, man. It's just the best food.
Because it's so good.
It's so good.
Once it hits your lips, it's just so good.
Oh, man.
Did you ever watch that?
Genuinely hungry now.
What was it? Well, it was about lunchtime, isn't it? What was that? Fuck, I forget what the movie is called. With Will Ferrell, where he's like, he doesn't drink, but he used to drink when he was in college. Like, once it hits your lips, it's just so good.
Oh God, yeah, I do know that film.
What is it called? It's like a college thing with
Yeah.
Owen, the not the Owen. It's
God, I think it might be the first time I ever saw Will Ferrell in a film. Was it called Old School?
Old School. That's the
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
It's so good.
What's his name? Frank the Tank, man.
Yeah, Frank the Tank. Brilliant.
Yeah, God, I
Honey,
haven't
we're
seen that film
going
in
streaking
years.
through the
That's
quad
what that's
through the
from.
quad to the
God, yeah.
gymnasium.
That became like all that anyone could say for years. Like it
Yeah.
was one of those films that sort of becomes so much in the popular culture that when you're over it and someone shouts, "We're going streaking," you kind of go, "Oh, I missed
Yes.
that." Yeah.
It's some films are just pivotal, aren't they?
They
You know,
are.
it's just,
And I love the fact you can hear them come back round again. Like I reckon one day, teens, we will hear a youth, someone from the youth culture,
we're going streaking.
shouting that, and we'll be like, "Wicked, man! They
Yeah.
finally watched Old School."
That's. I wonder if you know these sorts of shenanigans are still happening as much as they did back in the day. I don't think one of
I
these
wonder.
youngins would ever go streaking just for the heck of it, because nowadays everything's going to have to be filmed and on social media. I mean, the amount of times we went streaking through town is.
Oh man, God! I mean,
in daylight.
I wouldn't trade my growing up for the kids growing up now anytime, man. Because the amount of stuff that we've all done that is just lost to memories and even forgotten about.
Mm.
Now it's all Oh God, imagine. I don't know. I'm not the kind of person. My skin isn't thick enough to live in this world under those rules, man.
Yeah, no, I know. I think that's kind of our generation and older of musicians and artists and people in the, we are, after all, we have got that sensitive side to us, which is, it's a good thing and a bad thing, because it helps us write beautiful music and it helps us convey our emotions. But then also, as we do that, we leave ourselves open a little bit to maybe take these things to heart that we shouldn't take to heart.
Most definitely.
So yeah, it's but one thing I wanted to very quickly sort of get your opinion on, and I'm kind of on the fence with it, although I'm leaning more towards the one side. During lockdown, when this whole thing started, I feel, and especially in light with what that lovely person had said about us having to retrain and things like that, when everybody was basically at home doing nothing, like, oh, I wrote a new tune, and then they broadcast it on social media, and a lot of these things were for free. Now, the good and the positive side of this, which I see and I support, is that people had more time to spend online to discover new things. So the general public would have been able to discover somebody they haven't discovered before, down a rabbit hole or whatever. So for exposure, that was a good thing. But then I think on the other hand, because it was so readily available, and because everybody was doing it, and everybody was giving it away for free, not just musicians, but also people who did other, parts of the art.
Yeah.
The general populace then didn't get to miss it and realize the value of it. That if it's not there, how much they're going to miss, and how much art actually contributes to society and to everybody's everyday lives, because people don't realize how much it means until it gets taken away. And now we've gone down a route of giving it away for free, so they're still getting their fill, but we're left wanting on the one side, because now people are like, oh, I'm not going to pay this much for that because I can get it for free online. So what do you think? Was it a good thing that we did by giving these things away, or was it a bad thing, or are you kind of 50-50 like I am?
It's such a tough subject because there's so many moving parts to it. When I think about it, and I, like you teens, I've thought about it a lot, and I've sort of had conversations and heated conversations with people about it. And I suppose the main thing for me is what I've noticed since being allowed to come back into live music is how many people have missed the live element of what I do, or what we all do.
Yeah,
So
you can never replace that.
that can't be replaced. I think the idea of I think it depends on what it is you're actually looking for in terms of art. Like you said, if you feel that a live stream show is the same as going to see a live show, then you were never going to come to the live show anyway. So you were never going to spend money on music.
Yeah, just
And
tourists.
and you're within your rights to enjoy music. If you just don't, if live shows don't touch you in that way, then sit at home and watch them online, man, in the comfort of your own home with your own favorite drink. But if you are a person that needs to be that has to be in the room with that electricity, which I think is the majority, then we can give away as much as we want for free, and maybe it's good that we are, because I know that the few live stream. Well, also I know how important it's been. The few live stream gigs I've done, I haven't done many because I don't enjoy them in the same way as a gig, and that's my own problem. I know it's not the same.
Well, you're not alone in that. Most people I've spoken to feel the same way.
But then I realised that it's actually not for me, because the messages I got and the amount of messages I got from people going, "Thank you, I really enjoyed that. It made my day." Just little things like that. You think, I made someone else's day, man, by just 15 minutes of my time, right? It's really not about me. If that was enough to make someone feel happy on a Thursday in lockdown, that's fine with me, and that was worth doing.
Yeah, man.
And I think now the live stuff is coming back, and I think people will continue to get the stuff for free online. I think the problem is that everyone's been giving stuff away for free online for years, and then everyone started charging for it. And I was like, it's impossible to get people to pay for something you've been giving away for free. You have to do a new thing. And I think the things like how Ronnie's have really sort of like invested a lot of time and effort into the streaming side of what they do. Now they're providing something that is actually that's a really quality live streamed thing. You know what I mean? The job you're doing on the audio, which we got a lot of comments about on our live stream as well, and the job Christian's doing with the cameras. This is a thing, man. This is proper.
Luckily,
this is great.
The sort of infrastructure was in place well before, so the quality is. I mean, he's a fantastic.
But you're both musicians as well, so it helps because you both know how to get the message across. You know what I mean? We're all one thing, isn't it? I never like it when it's almost a bit like, it's crew and band. It's like, well, yeah, I suppose only in the terms of arrival times. But once we're in the venue together, man, we are one moving object, man. The show doesn't work with any sort of separation between the two bodies. It's got to be a thing. And when I'm with 10 Years After, we get a lot of comments. We have some great sound men that work with us, and the two most recent ones, Andy and Michel, they're fantastic. And whenever someone sort of compliments at the end of the show, saying, "Oh, you guys sounded great tonight," we always are like, "Well, you should go and say thank you to Andy and Michel. Yeah. They're the guys over there, still working now, by the way. Go and make sure they know, because that's the reason we sounded any good."
Yeah, no, that's very true. I think it's something that gets understated a lot, or not taken into account as much sometimes.
Yeah.
With
I think
bands.
It's easily done by the audience as well, because I think if it's done right, they shouldn't notice. Almost.
That's it. That's what we say. If people didn't know that we're there, then we did our job right.
Yeah, and I think that goes for every musician as well. If you're playing in a band and you're noticed at the right moments, as in when you take a solo or things, or when you're singing lead vocals on a song. But if you notice too much, if ever I get too much of a compliment for my playing, I always think, fuck, I probably overplayed a little bit there. If they were constantly hearing fucking me. Yeah. Well, you know more than anyone, since that's the case.
Yeah, it's all right. You and Tony compliment each other.
That's cool. That's good. That's very diplomatic.
Yeah. No, it's really. I tell you what, man. Working with you guys, it's an absolute honor for me.
Oh, bless you, man. Well, we feel the same, man.
Yeah, it's been a. No, I said to Nick as well the other day, because I had him on, and you guys asking me to be part of that crew was just at the right moment. It was, in a stage of my life where I really needed a win. So yeah, it's I've been very happy and honored to be part of the team.
Oh, it's great, man. I love it. I love the fact that when we have any sort of outside show, it comes through to who's available, and your name's on the top as well, because it's like, this is important. If Tians isn't available,
No.
it's the same as like, well, if any one of us aren't available, we have to have a chat. We go, well, look, can we do it without them? Can we dep them? Or do we feel confident in doing it? That's how a band should be. I mean, like we spoke about at the top of this, like, to be in a band was all I ever wanted to do. And once you get in a band and it feels good, it's the best, man. And then once you start adding members to that band, like your own sound engineer, maybe your own monitors guy, maybe like, a member of road crew, a tour manager, and this good feeling, you just start adding great people to an already great setup. I find it so exciting.
Yeah.
And then you end up with this sort of like unit of people where you look around, you go, this is fucking, look at these guys, man.
These are my guys.
Great.
These are
These
is
are
my
brilliant,
crew.
like, yeah, and it feels like, I don't know, I think every person wants that, don't they?
Absolutely, just a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
And to be part of something that's greater than yourself,
Yeah, and man, I get in bits like, even I know that crew do work harder than the band in terms of physical and mental labour during your day, and I remember on the road sometimes I've been like, I know that the backline tech is unhappy and I just can't shake it, and I can't just walk away from this idea and just go, well, it's almost the same as if any of the member of the band's unhappy, you sort of think, oh, I've got to fix this somehow, and then I've just got to try and work it out, because I can't have that atmosphere, because this is supposed to be the best.
Yes,
like the best feeling ever, and I'm not going to feel good if I know he's not enjoying it.
Unfortunately, yeah, when something like that does occur, it can poison the well very, very quickly.
It can, yeah. And sometimes there's nothing you can do. I mean, everyone has their own stuff going on. I've been on tours where I've had my own stuff going on outside of the tour, where I've had to sort of remove myself from the good feeling in order not to bring the vibe down. And people ask if you're all right, and you go, yeah, I'm fine. I just don't want to talk about it. And it's like, we'll just
give me a moment.
So it's a family, man. It's family dynamics.
Yeah. No, I mean, if we're lucky, we get to hang out with some cool people.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's really just work. But
there's that element.
If we play our cards right and we work it right, then we don't have to put ourselves in those situations. We can end up. I think it's the sort of two schools, right, of being a bunch of mates that form a band. Like, I mean, you and Tony and Nick, you guys know each other so long, and you get along so well.
Yeah.
And then there's the other end of it where people would have auditioned for a person to come in, and that person might be right for the job, but they might not be right for the dynamic. And then that's probably when bands go through rough periods or ups and downs and breakups, when these things happen. And then I suppose sometimes it happens with friends as well, but it's less likely, because it's easier to just go to your mate and say, listen, oi, what's up? Or, hey, what the fuck is wrong with you today? You're being a dick. So, there's that confidence, rather than it being a business contract. It's it's friends, it's family.
Yeah, well, and it's different. I remember I've been playing and touring for about 5 or 6 years before this incident happened, where I'd been, always recommended for work. So I was, touring with groups of people that I knew, with my friends, because my friends would recommend me for work with them. So I've been touring around the world 5 or 6 years with some of my best friends. Best friends before we started playing, even better friends afterwards, kind of thing. Then it was that I got recommended by a friend of my brother's for a gig with people that I didn't know. And I remember just the day before rehearsals feeling really anxious and going, why am I feeling so anxious? And I thought, because this is the first tour I'm going to go on with people who aren't my friends yet. You know what I mean? But I don't know these people. I'm going to meet them for a week. We're going to rehearse, and then we're going to go to America for 7-8 weeks. And I remember thinking, oh God, I'm actually quite nervous, because it felt like leaving home for the first time or something. Because I was like, all that touring was just with people that I knew, had known for 10 years. Anyway, in the end, the tour was fantastic, and we toured with this singer for 2-3 years, and they all became amazing friends that I still sort of speak to, most of them to this day. But it was really weird that I've been doing it for so long and taken for granted that actually, God, that is weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just going off to America with 5 strangers.
Yeah, it's strange. You're not so much doubting your own ability, which is normally what people get nervous about. Can I do the job? You're like, well, I've got this bit nailed. It's more about the other 23 hours a day that I'm going to be spending with people in a splitter van driving for days on end.
Twinning
this
up rooms
venue,
and
that
stuff
venue.
like that. You'd be like, yeah.
You got to get along with these people, because otherwise things, people fly home from the States very quickly.
I've seen it happen, man. I've seen it happen.
Oh, yeah, you know it. Mid-tour. See ya. I'm out.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking hell. Yeah, no. Lovely. Well, I think we're gonna end that there. Go have some lunch.
Yeah. How long have we been chatting? Oh, wow, that's a lovely chat. That is.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, man. I appreciate you agreeing to doing this.
Tians, man. Anytime. I mean, it's really nice that we got to do this, man. It was, it's beautiful.
Yeah, we get to know each other a little bit better, don't we? And that was kind of the point why I started this, is because
really,
I'm in such a fortunate position where I know people like yourself. I know world-class musicians. I know great engineers, great crew. I know, I've been in the industry for 12 years as a professional sound engineer, and I know people from events sectors. I know people from live music. I know people from the touring circuit. And I always just thought, I know so many interesting and cool people. I'd like other people to get to know them as well, and also I'd like to get to know them better myself. Because when are we going to ever have this conversation, you and I, where we're sitting down?
Yeah,
and
I know what you mean.
So where did you decide to start playing guitar, Marcus? People are going to be like, "What's this fucking weirdo?" Just come on, man. Oi.
But it's nice, man, and we got we've got a set of in jokes we can use at Ronnie's now that no one else will understand. It's brilliant.
Yeah, you know it. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good timing. Well, thank you very much. I will be linking all your social media stuff in the description.
Thanks, man.
And this will be out soonish. I've got a few that I got to knock out before yours comes out, but
man.
I'll be working on it this week. In between my shed's built now, so
really?
I finished.
Nice.
The shed's finished. I'm working in there, and everything's working fine. So
wicked,
that's
man.
doing its thing.
I think you've had the most productive lockdown of anyone that I know. The things you have actually built, you've built structures, man. Structures that will stand forever.
Well, as long as I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just keep
you leave. Patching it up. Just keep patching it up. Yeah, I had Nick Lewis.
Yes.
I had him over for a podcast in a sauna day on Wednesday, and that was fun. We just did a podcast and then we went and sat in the sauna. Not the podcast in the sauna though, because there is somebody that does that. Have you ever heard of Laird Hamilton? He's a big wave surfer. He's this he's American Hawaiian, I think, and he's one of the biggest wave surfers in the world. Like, he goes to Nazareth and he surfs those 30-meter waves.
Yeah.
Now his wife is an international netball star. She's also a massive sports person, and but she did this. She's got a podcast where it's the sessions in the sauna, and she gets sports nutrition people and scientists and these sorts of people up, and then they sit in the sauna for as long as they can, having an intellectual conversation. When people are just like sweating balls, it's like, oh, how am I going to think?
That's a really good idea. I like that.
Yeah.
Get honest answers, man, when people are that screwed.
Yeah, that's when you get the truth.
Yeah, but I'm now feeling like I shouldn't have agreed to do this over Zoom and just insisted on coming over so I could get a sauna.
Well, you're still welcome to come whenever you want.
Oh, mate, I will.
I'm home all the time now because I gave up the warehouse. And like I said, I built the shed so I can I can do that and the food production stuff all in one go. So yeah, I've got a couple of breads on the go at the moment and some crackers things, and so yeah. Come over whenever you want.
For lunch, there is an olive and rosemary bread in the oven that my daughter put in this morning before she went to school. So I'm quite excited to see how that turned out.
Ooh, olives, yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic, man. Well, you go and do that, and we'll see each other again in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. 2 weeks. It's gonna be
Yeah. 2 gigs in a month is great. I love it.
I know, man. I know.
Thanks, Marcus. I appreciate it, man. You have a good day.
You too, brother.
Well, there we go. I hope you've enjoyed that as much as I have. If you want to get in touch with Marcus, I'll be posting his social media links in the description, as will I do mine, as always. If you like the podcast and you want to support me, you can go to patreon.com/asoundguy and you can support the podcast there. As always, like, share, subscribe, get the word out there. Keep it sound.